Hi everyone, welcome to the Sunday Footy Show. Great to have your company once again. And boy, oh boy, we've got a great show coming your way, so we certainly hope you can stay with us. First of all, let's have a look at the 5 winners from round 14 of league football here in South Australia. And certainly some disappointing results yesterday, particularly for Torrens and also for the Dogs. North Adelaide, look at that, they whipped Torrens, a margin there of 124 points. Port Adelaide did the same to the Bulldogs by 92 points. Norwood defeated West Adelaide. Glenelg defeated Woodville by just 1 point. And South Adelaide defeated Sturt by 7 points. And bad luck for the Double Blues because they now are, in fact, on the bottom of the premiership table. Let's welcome our panel today. Graham Campbell, Ashley Porter, Kim Dillon and Rocky Roberts. Graham Campbell, you saw Norwood yesterday. Will they make the 5?
It's a leading question, Ken, and you know, I've got a soft spot for Norwood, as most people around town would think, but I haven't. I called as I see it, but in the run home, Ken, the 8 games to go, they've got 2 at Norwood Oval. They'll win those automatically.
You hope.
They've got 3 at Football Park and 3 away games. Now, they'll probably, in all honesty, lose the games to Port and North.
Right.
They play North at Prospect and they play Port at Football Park, the last game of the year. That still could be the fateful game for them.
So they will make it?
Well, they can make it, provided they beat West Torrens next Saturday at Theberton,
right,
which I think at this point in time, they've got to be favourites to do that.
Who will they replace?
Well, either West Torrens, Central District or Glenelg. Now, the key game could be, a couple of weeks later, they play Glenelg at Norwood Oval.
That'll be a good game.
Now,
5 weeks away.
Well, that's a long way away, yeah. But that still could be, Rocky.
The critical game.
In the run home, either of those 2 sides.
Glenelg keep improving. That could be a decider for the 5th spot.
Well, Ken, you're putting Graham on the spot. What about Sturt? Do you think Sturt made the right choice with Rick Davies?
Yes, I do. I made the point at the time that I wasn't happy with the way that the club went about getting rid of Mervyn Kane. Mervyn Kane had done a top job, but in the wisdom of the selectors, they felt that Rick Davies was the man for the job. I don't blame Rick Davies. I blame the players. I think they've shown a distinct lack of heart. They haven't supported the coach. They haven't done the job.
Well,
because they haven't supported the coach with their performances.
But hang on, Ken.
Hang on.
They played the 5
Hang
last
on,
year.
Rocky. Have they supported the coach?
Well, you'd have to ask the players.
Well, I'm asking you. The players aren't here. I made the point that I don't believe the players have supported Rick Davies. You're saying that they have, are you or not?
Well, I'm saying I can't answer that.
Well, then
Their
why jump
performance
in?
wouldn't indicate so.
Exactly.
Okay, well, he's got to accept some
one at a
responsibility
time.
as well, though, surely.
I'm not saying he doesn't, but I'm saying...
You haven't said anything different. You blame the players.
One at a time. Let's get into
You
Ken.
jumped in. Once they cross the line, Kim, as you well know, the ball is in their court. He can do so much. I believe he's done that. But I honestly believe there are some players down there that don't want Davies as coach. That's why they haven't fired.
Well,
They've got no heart.
Well,
I think it's another key point.
Why didn't the club listen to the players in the beginning of the year?
Well, blame the hierarchy, but don't blame Rick Davies. I'm sick and tired of people pointing the bone at Rick Davies. He can do no more than he's done. It's the players that haven't done the job.
How do you know he can't do any more? I mean, he's got to take most of the responsibility for their failure.
Of course, and he will, but I'm saying from where I sit, Rocky, it's the players. You well know that once you cross that line, the ball is in your court as a player.
Yeah, but the coach has got to prepare the players to actually do their best, or his resources to do the best and get the best out of them on the ground. He obviously hasn't done that.
He's not picking the
Kane
best
did
20 to go over the line, too.
I don't dispute that.
He just said he's doing a good job.
Well, OK.
You're saying he might be picking the best 20.
I believe overall he is doing the best job.
Overall,
Rocky,
now.
you're saying he hasn't done the...
He was doing the best job.
Hasn't done his job.
I'm just saying that where coaches are concerned, they'll be judged on their ability to get the best out of their players. Merv Kane got that side of the 5 last year.
Let me go to you first up, Rocky.
They've lost a few players.
Hang on, I'll ask you the question. You don't believe Rick Davies has done the job?
I don't believe that Rick Davies is probably the best man for the job. No.
OK, Kim Dillon?
I'd probably agree with that on the strength of his previous record.
Ashley Porter?
No, I don't think he has done the right thing, but I'd sort of add that to the fact that I think he's got too many influences there. I think there's a few players that were talking about going to the VFL next year, and if they can't perform better than what they are now, there's a big problem. And you've got to ask the question, why aren't the players playing well? And it's got to get back to Rick, I'm sorry.
Look, Ken, I want to argue one thing. You're saying because they're not winning, they're not supporting Rick. Do you have to win to be supporting the coach? You can lose and still support the coach, and vice versa. You can win football games and not be in support of the coach. That's happened in Melbourne many times. They play for personal pride. It isn't just the coach they're playing for. It's their own image as a footballer.
Well, that's the point I made. But what I'm saying to you, Graham, is that I believe strongly that there are a number of players within that Sturt side that don't want Rick Davies as coach.
Well,
So, you know something that we don't know then?
Well, that be that as it may. That's my statement.
yeah, well,
I think you've got to look at the whole club.
Pardon?
What players would they
I'm not going to name the players.
I think you've got to look at the whole club, not just Rick or
Would
the
you name
players.
them?
Sorry?
Would you name them?
Oh, but you've actually come out and
Would
made
you
a
name
statement. If I knew the
Would
players...
you name them?
Well, if I got in your position right now, I think I'd have to, yeah.
Why? Why have to?
Well, because you've actually made a statement and now
Well,
you
that's
can't
right.
you can't back it up. And if they're key
I
players...
can back up, but I'm not going to sit here publicly and say this bloke, that bloke, that bloke is not supporting Rick Davies. I'm not
Well,
going
you
to say
can't
that.
actually can't finish off your argument logically if you can't actually tell us if they're key players and they're not supporting the coach. That might be the reason Stern are playing well.
Well, that's the reason I'm...
Could be three
that's-
reserves players,
That
well, you know.
is the point I made, that there are players in that league side that don't want Rick Davies as coach.
Why aren't they supporting him then?
Because they don't want him as coach.
Well, Ken,
because they were,
why,
they-
though? Why?
because
What
they were
reason?
very pro-Mervyn Kane.
Ken, can I ask you this question? Are those players you're talking about, don't name them, are they playing well at the moment?
No, they're not.
They're not?
They're up and down like yo-yos.
Really?
I'd like to say something else, but I can't. Anyway,
I'm sorry I raised the
that's
issue.
probably more applicable. Anyway, let's get on and move right along there to the game at the Thepperton Oval between Torrens and North Adelaide. Great performance by the Roosters, proving yesterday they're going to be a very, very hard side to beat. A margin of 124 points. North Adelaide 27 goals 13, the Eagles 7 goals 9. Footy punt dividend $5.70. Look at the goal scorers there. Firstly for the Roosters, Bennett and Coops each kicking 5. 4 to Tasker, 3 to Smart. And for the Eagles, Troy Clark booting 2. Here are the highlights.
Now with the ball toward the full forward area. On the lead, Chris Lindsay. Off hands it comes. Oh, picked up lovely. But Neve across toward Pays. Pays toward the open goal. Around the body and it's home. Great goal to the Eagles. The first on the board at the 2-minute mark.
Now he's got Tasker in the square on the lead. He puts it up for that lad. He's underneath the footy. Getting into it quickly was Craig. Sims around the corner. Goal! Brilliantly done. Sims at his best. And he evens up the score. 1 goal apiece.
Tiller coming down from half back. He's going to put it long to the goals. He's a powerful kick. What a beauty. Great goal, David Tiller. His first and his 10th kick and kicking it from half back flank. A great effort.
Burton needs a set. Intercepted by Darren Jarman. Could be his turn. Jarman around the corner. Goes in high. Ball coming back close. Oh, what a goal, Darren Jarman. Brilliantly done. He boots his first. And North have got 19 on the board. Throw in. Bennett gets it down. In fact, he can't find anyone. He goes and gets it himself and snaps the goal. Fairly easily. Brilliantly done. That's his 5th. And the young Rovers had a field day.
Puts the ball right up to the goal square area. A one-handed attempt to mark. Simmons tries a handball over his head. In there, Clark soccers off the ground. And the Eagles have a goal. Troy Clark has his 2nd. Puts it back to centre half forward. Oh, a big fly there by Andrew Jarman. Over the back it comes to Bassani. Should be a goal here as he gets it across to McGrath. McGrath toward the goal. And the Eagles have got another. McGrath's first. The Eagles have got their 7th.
Certainly a great performance there by the Roosters, and I'll tell you what, they're going to be very, very, very hard to beat. Let's welcome our guests on that particular game. Andrew Bennett from the Eagles, Stephen Sims for North Adelaide. Actually brought us for the game.
Stephen, I thought that was one of the best efforts by North Adelaide I've seen for a few years. How would you rate the game?
It's probably our best 4-quarter effort this year, I'd say.
What was the mood at 3-quarter time? Because you were, 77 points up, and was there much talking at 3-quarter time?
Yeah, I thought we may have dropped off a bit, but just by a bit of the attitude around, but the boys kept going the last quarter, kicked right away.
Andrew, West Torrens' performances against North and Port Adelaide, so far this season you've averaged a 100-point loss. Before yesterday you were 3rd. How much work do you got to do to make up that difference with only 8 weeks to go for the finals?
We'll just get after next week before we think about finals.
But what was the feeling this morning? Did you, obviously you trained, but did you work the players hard? What was said, the basics?
Just that we get after next week, like we say, whether we win or lose.
But it must be disappointing, Andrew, the performances by the side against North on the 2 occasions you've played them. And looking down the track, you know, if you go further in the major round, they're the side you're going to have to beat.
They're the measuring stick.
Well, it must be disappointing that they've beaten you so convincingly, though.
Yeah, we can't be happy with yesterday.
The skills level, Andrew, I thought were right down. What was the problem? Because before the game, you said that the attitude was good, but the skills level just wasn't existent.
Oh, I think our game deteriorated as the day went on in all levels, I think.
Stephen, terrific performance by David Sanders. I've always felt that he's one player that's been overlooked so often.
Yeah, very consistent, Dave. He always puts in every week. So he probably doesn't get the recognition because he's got, you know, a couple of blokes next to him playing well as well, but he always does his job.
And Andrew Jarman, another top effort, and he was acting captain again. Do you think that
He loves it. He loves it.
Do you think the responsibility, you know, he must relish in that?
Oh, if you hear him during the week and that, you wouldn't think he's got much responsibility. But yeah, he's doing the job for us.
Losing Frank Spill in the second quarter, did you feel that unbalanced the side a little bit, Andrew?
Oh, in the final washout, actually, I don't think it was going to make that much of a difference. We've been by 120 points. Would have rather had Frank on the field, obviously.
Yeah. Did you think your players concentrated enough or went in hard enough?
Oh, we did for a while. I don't think we were able to maintain our effort for long enough, obviously.
Why was that, do you think? Just lack of maturity?
Oh, I think North played pretty well yesterday.
Yeah, would North Adelaide be the best side that you've come across this season?
Well, they've beaten us by big margins both times, so we've got to think that way, yes.
Yeah. Obviously, it is a disturbing factor, though, that you have lost by so much.
Yeah, we'd prefer not to lose that much.
Yeah, but, you know, what I'm trying to get at is, you know, is there any promise that Torrens can sort of improve to, you know, prevent it from being a two-horse race?
We'll just get after it next week and we'll see what happens if finals come.
Can we expect many changes next week?
Oh, you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Andrew, thanks for joining us. And Stephen, congratulations, and let's keep our fingers crossed for the big bloke, because he's had a great year and he's a big chance for the medal. If things do happen to be a bit shaky, it wouldn't be that nice, would it?
No, we definitely want him out there next week. There's no doubt about that.
Before Stephen goes, it was a North's Players concert last night. What did you dress up as?
Oh, I just had a stupid mask on.
You're not still wearing it,
I
are you?
reckon that improved me.
Good on you. Did Andrew Jarman do his Mick Jagger?
Typical Andrew. He tells everyone to go to players' functions, never turns up.
We'll speak to you Monday. OK, thanks Stephen Sims and Andrew Bennett. And of course, don't forget tonight we've got some big sporting action coming your way at 10:45, the 89... Yeah, the brothers Jarman. What would they be worth on the football world? Gee whiz, they would bring heaps. All winners today, all the reps coming in for the winning sides. For those of them that do, in fact, come in, you do receive some lovely Goanna products. You can see them on the screen there, all for those sore spots for Sunday morning, and certainly some magnificent products there. They'll go to all our winners today. OK, the game at Football Park yesterday saw Port Adelaide 20 goals, 26. The Dogs 7 goals, 12, a margin of 92 points. Do you mind? The dividend, $4.20. The goal scorers from that particular game. And certainly, as we see there, Port Adelaide had a number of players in the goal-kicking list there. Geneva, Hines, Setri all birding 3. And for the Dogs, McAdam and Mandamaker kicking 2 goals. Our guest from that game is Philip Graham from the Bulldogs. In fact, we'll go to the highlights first.
The advice you give someone standing Greg Phillips is make sure you keep running high. What a great mark. Chaplin's probably started on the bench. And Tom's will do some roving. Gilbert McAdam, let's watch him from the impossible pocket. Sets it up. What a sensational goal from Gilbert McAdam. That's the talent we've come to know.
Mandamaker a long way out from goal. He's looking for support. Farms out a long handball to McAdam. Great presence of mind to punch that ball on, and that's even better there by Jonas as he gets it to Rowan. He kicks a goal. Brilliant play by the Dogs.
Goes in long. Mandamaker's the man, but behind the line, he does it well. Goes on quickly.
2-on-2 battle out there. Coffey keeps the ball in play. He was well tackled. And eventually the ball goes over the line. Port Adelaide supporters wanting holding the ball. Been like salt and pepper in everything. Phillips, oh, Johnston, strong hands. Oh, he's killing him in the air.
David Brown chips it into goal. Hodges spoiled beautifully by Bodker. Tregenza tries off the ground, but beautifully done by Scott Lee. Plenty of pressure here at Football Park.
Big leap there from Obbs, couldn't take it. Oh, Tregenza, what a brilliant goal. Sheer class. As Bodker brings that ball down the middle of the ground. Oh, there's a big leap there by Obbs. Great mark. Ball is tapped out. It's
after a complaint was lodged by Mark Poser, an umpires board member who was the umpires observer at the match. And now Brian Martin at the moment is hearing his evidence, where he was seated and exactly what led up to the incident. As I said, Greg Smith has pleaded not guilty to the charge. David Brown has been called by Brian Martin. He perhaps will be giving evidence a little bit later on in the hearing. And Peter Mead.
On the particular game, Philip Graham from the Bulldogs. We have no rep from the Port Adelaide side. Kim Dillon saw the game.
Yeah, and it was fourth side against the second side, and most people expected a reasonably close clash. The first half wasn't too bad, but Port Adelaide with just too many guns and a few interesting moves, the way your side lined up, Phil. Peter Bubner started in the ruck against Russell Johnston, but he got absolutely hammered.
Yes, it was disappointing yesterday. I think the ruckmen, both Grant and Pete, were a bit disappointing. But take credit to Johnson. He played really well yesterday. He killed us, I felt, in the first half and set up for Port Adelaide.
Well, if you're to play in the final series, your ruckman will be against players like Johnston and Redden. I suppose you really can only rely on those two players. I saw Lounder, your reserves are top at the moment. Lounder played pretty well, but do you think he'd be ready for another crack?
Yeah, unfortunately, Philip is still studying, so he's really not as fit as we'd like him to be, and only on the track maybe once a week at this stage. So maybe if he can get a bit more on the track and get his fitness level up, I'm sure the coach will be looking at him.
Well, perhaps if we dissect yesterday's result, now you lost in the rucks. Across half forward, I saw Port and Central play at Albertson Oval last time. Phillips thrashed Ingerson at Albertson Oval. Yesterday, the same thing happened. Jonas was on a half-forward flank. He's nowhere near past his producing good football, but he still seems to be not moving as freely as he should.
Yeah, Pete's been carrying a few hamstring problems, which a few players have been at the club of late, but Peter's sort of been getting fit, coming back, getting fit, and he's not been able to train, I suppose, consistently as he'd like to be. But he's got that experience and size, and we do need his bit of aggression around the ground when he's fit. So.
Philip, is that a problem? Because the same can be said for Jamie Thomas, your ball getter, Peter Jonas, players that really, I don't believe, and Greg Smith, that really haven't had the match fitness in recent weeks. They're your on-ball players.
Yeah, well, that's true. I think what we've got to do now...
Off the ground.